Alright guys, thought I'd do a little bit of an update. Back in Spain for the weekend again. Does seem that it's becoming more regular now, which I'm really happy about, because it means that when you're having a crap week or what's going on in the UK, you can get home and chill out. Bit chaotic out here. Kids were camping out, well I say kids, the boys, because we always have, my son's always got mates, so they decided to camp on the balcony last night, so they're up here, and obviously they've gone, but obviously being teenage boys, don't put nothing away. You can see I've been getting some more plants again in the conservatory that's not here. We've had some quotes for some other builders, because my builders let me down. They're flat out. I think 9 months is long enough, don't you? So just to give you an idea of cost, they've had my first cost, I'm just waiting for a second one. They're looking at, basically they'll flatten this out, get rid of the loose stuff, put some mesh on it, re-skim it so it's all smooth, all the way around, take the rails away, and down here, try not to drop my phone, there's some more render down here which they're going to do, and I've just asked them to confirm how they're going to do it, because I don't want them standing on the tiles and falling off my roof, and just making sure it's all above board and legal. And then they'll sort all this mess out, get that all skimmed and cut back. You can hear that, a little bit hollow. Yeah, so this is looking at skimming all this, tidying all this up. Getting rid of the rails, they'll fit the slabs. At the moment they're talking about £2 grand, well £2.5 grand, which I think is a bit steep, to be fair. Put your comments below, what are your thoughts? If you've got a cheaper, better builder, let me know, because obviously I'm looking for quality rather than quantity, but if you can do it at the right price, I'd rather give it to somebody, somebody others have recommended. I mean, the guys looking at it, to be fair, are pretty well known. They do a lot of commercial stuff, which also means I do think this is a little bit pricey for the work. It's about 25 square meters of rendering work. And that's say removing these rails and stuff, which isn't as hard as it looks. So when you take that off, take this out, I think you could probably do it in a day. It's just watching the crap doesn't smash anything below. And then obviously they're rendering that for the rest of the week. So that's where we are at the minute, because I'll get that finished, then I'm going to get my conservatory. Well, I've got 3 or 4 conservatory companies, but as we generally find in Spain, as soon as you approach people, half of them don't even come back to you. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, we keep talking about this living crisis. What's it, living life crisis? I don't know what they call it, because I've tried to switch off from it. About the end of the world, all doom and gloom, recessions, deprivation, poverty, and end of the world, obviously, because we're heading towards this nuclear meltdown as well. Don't the media love giving a good spin on life? So I just want to get it prepped, and then I can get one of these conservatory companies to come out and basically put a conservatory in. I don't think I'm going to get it before Christmas now, and to be perfectly honest, I'm really disappointed, because the money's been sat there for months, and we've just been let down. But we move onwards and upwards. It just makes it more difficult when I'm working, because this is where my desk sits. Because I'm thinking of putting the sofa here, the desk here, and then the door slides open, you can sit and enjoy the view. But it's all been delayed, and it's worse than delayed, because there's no end in sight at the minute. Me and April are talking about here as well, because I'm thinking I put some glazing across here that open, so you've got a bit of ventilation in the sense of, if it was a heavy winds, we could sort of open it up so it doesn't get any wind build up under it, because it's got a risk of lifting the roof off. The reason for that is this area then becomes a bit more practical, whether we put glass on this section or maybe louvers. So it's got a vented side, because I don't think we need to box it in. I don't because it's quite warm here. Even today, as you can probably see, there's people sunbathing. It's October. So don't really want another area that can cause build up of heat for the windows. If we've got a bit of glazing, louvers, got airflow through here, helps keep the temperature down. The conservatory, obviously it's got to be glass, but the doors stay open a lot of the time, and when it's December, January, February, when it's a bit cooler, what we will do is keep the door shut here until about this time. Heat's built up, open the doors, and the heat goes in the house. Something we noticed with the place we had before is you build up your heat that way. It's free heating. The other thing is the conservatory roof. Obviously, we'll put the solar panels on there. We've had a few quotes for solar stuff, and they're going, the roof's too small. And I'm going, yeah, but it's not just for there. So we put the technology in up there. You'll get the first panels up there, but it's going to extend across here. So it's twice as much roof space there, and depending what we do here, there may be enough space for 1 or 2 panels there as well, which, to be fair, it's probably 6 to 10 panels in total, which is enough for us, because we don't use that much. I mean, especially my wife. See, it sounds a bit racist, but it's not, because I do find it's an Asian thing, and most Asian people accept it. They're quite thrifty, and obviously I'm Scottish, so I'm thrifty as well. So I'll walk 2 miles rather than pay a taxi fare, and I do on a regular basis. But yeah, it's been a funny old year, because work's been horrible. Changed companies, new companies a bit better. They're a bit more flexible. Not saying there's any less work, because we are still extremely busy, but I am finding I'm getting home more, which means, it's not that I'm suffering with stress and all that sort of stuff. It's just that if you don't have the ability to switch off, you got no recovery time. So it's nice to be able to switch off, come home, sit on the balcony, have a coffee, tea, meet up with friends when I get time, because one of the problems I get is, obviously, I'm the only person who drives at the minute, so when I come home there's always something to do. There's got to go to school, got to do this, got to do that, need to go to Leroy Merlin, go and get some. So you do all the chore stuff that you would normally do wherever you are, as a family, which means your spare time where you want to meet up with friends and stuff is a rarity. And obviously, don't want people thinking that I'm ignoring them. It's not done on purpose, guys. It's literally, I'm busy. I mean, even this weekend, like yesterday, we went to Leroy Merlin in the morning. What did we go for? There's something we needed for the house that was quite urgent. I can't remember what it was now. It was that urgent. But then I come back, and then my son and his mate going, can we go to Leroy Merlin? Okay, we'll go to Leroy Merlin. And they wanted to make some stuff, because I've got this thing with the World War II stuff. So like making their own uniforms and making replica guns and kit. So they're always looking for, getting bits of pipe to make some barrels. I think he's doing there. Is that MG 42, MG 50? He's making a machine gun at the minute. But I encourage it, because the kids have got stuff to do, and there's a 3D printer in there as well. So like he's on about adjusting the gun is made for a new butt for the gun. Well, they can actually print one. I'm not going to do any videos on that at the minute, because that's a pain in the backside, that thing, setting that up, getting it all level and stuff. I've been trying to print a Jesus. There's a little Jesus figure. He's failed about 10 times for various reasons. Maybe it's a sign. I don't know. But the problem, I love all technology, so That's why I need this bit finished here, because at the moment everything's sort of pushed in there, and I need like having the bench set up here, but being able to do a bit of workout here. Same as if the kids are busy doing their stuff, like now they're downstairs doing homework. I could sit up here and just enjoy it, but it's nice to have, you know, TV or something there, just sat on the wall, because it's like the basketball. I do love basketball, and I've watched not one game this year, even with a subscription. I haven't had time to watch anything. And I realise I need to have some more time for myself. It's all about me. No, it's I've just worked non-stop since before COVID, and I need to sort of step back a bit and say, you're doing too much. Life's not about that. Life's about this. Even if I have to change roles, go back to consulting and work 6 months of the year and be a bit more thrifty. You know, we're not here forever, so we need to enjoy it. What else to discuss? So we talked about solar panels, and we talked about the energy, and I'm not going to discuss Ryanair, but because a few people have mentioned on my post as I left Birmingham, 8 out of 8 flights late. Absolute nightmare. Don't know what's happened with them. They just seem to have declined massively. I know they sacked all their staff with the COVID and stuff, but so did many other firms. So yeah, there's some serious issues there. I don't mind being 50 minutes late or whatever. It's when I'm sitting there, plane's already late, getting boarded. I'll sit and stick Netflix on my tablet. I bought these Bose headsets. They're quite expensive. They're about £200. But it's got noise cancelling and everything on. So even if I'm not listening to music, I can't hear anything around me. And it's for those types of flights, because there's always some stag party, hen party, village idiot on board. So, you know, you sound like I sound like a miserable git, but it's not that. It's because when you've been up at, say, 5 in the morning, done some work for the day, so that the time you get for your flight or whatever, you've actually already covered your work time. I'm tired. And having these distractions can be a bit of a pain, because it means when you get home, so I get on the plane, I want a nap or just sit and watch a Netflix movie, and if you've got people messing around, I get they're on holiday, but they are on holiday. I'm not on holiday with them. But I know they won't change. And there you go. Yeah, that's your fault for flying Ryanair. Like I said, I accept it. That's why I spent a lot of money on headphones, so I can just switch off. But yeah, the last trip back, it was just one of those. I paid for the express lane at Birmingham Airport. It's going to sound a bit moany, but it was just one thing after another. So you get to the express lane, and it was the same when they come back. These guys, because they do the family queues, you know, where you have about 10 family members. And they put them in the express lane instead of getting them to just don't swipe through like everybody else. No idea. So you got the 10 family members. I'm gonna say they were from the Middle East somewhere, and they just didn't seem to have a clue what was going on. You know, they're all busy chatting, and you go, "Have you got your passports?" And you know, it's almost like, what? You know, and you're like, the reason I'm in the express lane is because I've only got limited time. I've got to get through here, get through security, get into the airport lounge, grab something to eat, and jump on a plane. I haven't got the 2 hours conversation piece because these guys aren't in a rush. And it was the same when I went back last time, because some people were losing it. I don't know if it was a family wedding, you know, but these guys just kept coming. I'm not sure where they had come from, and I don't mean that in a racist way. I just mean that I'm not sure where their flight come from. But it must be about 30 or 40 people with the same family, and they just kept coming down and jumping the queue, because somebody at the front must have had all their passports and stuff, and people start to lose it a bit. I'm not too fussed, to be fair, as long as they're out of my way. It's just when they get there and they're just going, oh, what do you want? It's like, your passport. Oh, have we got the passport? And you're like, for goodness sake, what are you here for? You know, there's me, ID card ready, passport open, there we are, out the door, gone. But like I said, when people are in holiday mode, different mentality, not in a rush, and often it's yeah. But yeah, it was a bit delayed, so I got that. Then the flight was a bit awkward, not as bad. It was just when people try to push, they avoid the etiquette. If the plane's exiting and the people in front of you have exited, and then it should be your turn. Don't assume that you can just push past people, because you're then making somebody stuck. There is no rush. The bus outside does not leave until it's full. And if you're holding other people up from getting off the plane, you're still going to have to stand outside. There is no rush at this point. But it had people pushing through and stuff, and you're just like, what is wrong with you guys? And passport control was a funny one. Because I was waiting in the queue and I was hearing I'm not sure if it was a husband and wife, or they knew each other, I think. The woman was complaining her passport was stamped multiple times every time she goes through and she's going, well, I'm a resident, blah blah blah. And the guy said to her, did you give them your residency card? They never asked for it. And for me, that's one of those things where I've got to sit there and just bite my lip. They didn't ask you for it. All the 700 people behind you, there's a reason for that. There's probably only 100 people, if that, are residents. What do you think they're going to go? Have you got? Thanks for your passport. Are you a resident? No. Okay. Are you a resident? No. They expect you to give them both, and then they throw it back at you and just go on. Don't have to check, as long as the numbers are matching, they're gone. You're an easy hit for them. They don't have to stamp anything or look anything up. But she was arguing with the guy, because he was literally saying, well, just give it to them. And it's like, well, they haven't asked me for it. They've never asked me for it. You're supposed to know. One of the things I've learned over the years is never assume stuff. You've always got to think about this stuff yourself when you're travelling. You know, it's like with COVID changes. They may change that week or the day that you fly. You've got to double check, you know, because there may be something's happened in the media and it's just changed the rules. Don't assume somebody's going to tell you. And I've seen it so many times with people getting caught out whether they haven't had their, you know, some of the simple stuff is they haven't had their boarding passes. And I've been caught nearly myself because my phone's been flat. But that's why I carry this phone, my old phone, my tablet, a laptop. So although it may take me a bit longer to get through stuff if I have to, you know, in the sense of the device I had it on dies, I will have it somewhere. Then my journey continued. So I got through all that, got to Alicante, rushed to the actual bus back to the car, eco parking, because it was actually sat outside. That's the first time that's ever happened. But funny enough, there was another couple in front of me. They were running for it, and I thought, I'll follow them. They'll stop it anyway, but you know, you're going a bit faster than normal. Bear in mind, I think I'm an hour late on my flight. So it's my son's birthday as well, which is one of the reasons I want to rush back. Get to eco parking, and I'm first out the bus because I was in the front. Go in there, yeah. Ask for my car. Oh, your renewal's up. It was up last month, and I'm like, you haven't asked me for any money. And it's like, yeah. Well, you can't have the car unless you pay for it. And I'm like, I don't have my bank card. My Spanish card's with my wife. So then I'm holding up everybody else because I've then had to ring my wife to pay it over the phone. And then she's going to me, but they never ask you for a renewal. I says, I know. I says, it's only, they must have assumed, well, we'll just wait till he turns up and then ask him. Where, funny enough, I was asking my wife last month, it must be coming up for renewal, but they never even emailed me. So that was a bit of a downside on that one. That's the first time the eco parking sort of let me down. When I say let me down, it's quite simple. I just needed a reminder to say, give us €250, and it would have been done there and then, because I do find the service is good. There's only the odd one in there that he complains. Need more notice, you should ring the day before, all this sort of stuff, and you're like, calm down. Because normally booked it like a week or two ahead, and then they forget, and then expect you to remind them, but the whole point was you reminded them a week or so ago, so that they had plenty of time to get your car ready. That's a bit of a rant thing today, but it's not really ranting, it's just going through. But it's not always smooth. And a lot of things are easy to fix. Like there, they'd actually emailed me. It could have been done. My wife would have just done it on the phone, because I don't carry the Spanish bank card. She does, because we pay extra for having a second bank card, and you have the second account. You've then got to pay for the non-resident. Have this non-resident tax, or check as they call it, that they put on the accounts. So we just have one bank card, because I've got my UK card anyway if I ever need money. I just don't want to do the exchange rate, so we don't have to. But yeah, I've got to admit, it's been good to get back. And the thing I like here, because when I'm in Northampton, there's always noise from other bits. Behind the house, there's always a guy, a builder or whatever, works at the weekends, so there's always noise there. Guys in the house can be a bit loud, and they smoke. I'm not a smoker. They're not supposed to smoke in the house, but they do. And that you know, that's a bit of a frustration. When I get here, all that sort of stuff's gone. You know, it's all those like irritants, silent irritants, bits that are going on in the background that are not in your face. But when you come here, listen. All I can hear is a couple of cars driving past, the birds chirping, and a little bit of noise from the waves. And that's what Spain's about. That's why we're here. That's what we love. That's what it's about. And then I've got this guy up here that gives me my vitamin D, which I find hard to get in the UK these days, as the weather's not as nice. Well, certainly not as nice as Spain, let's be honest. I know some people I like storms and rains. It's one of the things I do like in the winter. I like watching storms. But like now, I can get the sun lounger out and just sit here for an hour and just relax and switch off. And that's what I say, because it's quiet, it's easy to do that. But I find in the UK, I have to have the music on, you know, just to take out the background noise, which is not a good place to be. But anyway, I'm just glad to be home. Like I said, I've got this builder stuff to do, and it's frustrating me. I know I don't sound too annoyed, but the fact is I come back in, bear in mind I'm managing probably probably about 400 projects in the UK at the moment. Some projects are £500,000 each, and I can't get my balcony finished in Spain. And I'm on my case and my builders all the time in the UK. You know, it's like they'll go, oh, we can do it in 2 weeks' time, and I'll go, no, it needs to start Monday. You know, if you can't do it, let me know, I'll give it to another builder. I'm driving the jobs. But here in Spain, it's difficult, because even when you shop around, you got pretty much everybody going, we're fully booked. You know, there was an alternative guy, I think, in the Lamata group, and I think he ain't available to 15th of November. One of our other builders, he's been in Portugal or something, so I think he's just got back. So just seeing what he's got available, because I think he only does like Saturdays or something, but I don't mind that, because for this I just need it done. So taking these rails off will probably take a day, and they're quite high up anyway, and nobody really comes out here, so I'm not too worried about somebody going over the top, because there shouldn't be anybody up here anyway. So as long as all that's done and the marble's done, then it's skimmed. You could probably do that over 6 weeks. At the same time, once this bit's done on this end, the conservatory guys can come and have a look, because they know what the area is, but they're asking for it to be completed so they can do their final measurements. Like I say, there's 4 different companies, and I can guarantee none of them are going to, as soon as you go, yeah, I want it, not one of them's going to say we can have it ready in 2 weeks. It's probably going to be 6 to 8 weeks realistically, if I'm lucky, because things are very, very busy. And I suppose the whole Ukraine and energy crisis stuff is driving the solar panels as well. So once this bit's done, the next stage is probably going to be delayed till probably next summer, unless I do it myself. At the same time, I've got to get the electrical certificate updated on the house, because at the moment I can't increase my electrical consumption from the main board without a new certificate. It basically says the electrics are fit for purpose. Which I'll speak to the guys that come and do the solar to do that at the same time. I mean, there's no issues with the electrics, it's just the fact is they can increase the power consumption on your main board, what they'll feed to it, but they want it confirmed that everything's fit for purpose, so that it can take it from a, say, 4 to a 7 or whatever. But the other side of this being is, if it's on a low rate, it means people can't switch everything on at the same time, so it saves me money. Because if it's upgraded, you can have the washing machine, the 2 air conditioning units, the dehumidifiers on, and all the computers and stuff. So at the moment you can't switch them all on at the same time. So you can have 1 air conditioning unit and the kettle maybe, and even then sometimes the kettle will go, because obviously kettle's high consumption, so you've got to balance it. Which so for example, the hot water will go, if it's needed, will go on in the morning, but then be switched off, won't be left on, because if you switch the oven on with the hot water on at the same time, it will trip the system. It's fantastic. There's thrifty Matt at work. One of the other things I want to say though, which I just mentioned but it's important, we've got these dehumidifiers. I'll do it as a separate mini video on the channel just to show you what it is, because the humidity has been extremely high, and the funny thing is, these houses, because they're the way they're built, they don't have great ventilation, etc. Although we have the windows not open, when you get those, like when you get mildew in the morning, all that sort of stuff, the walls can absorb it, and you end up with mold and stuff. And the design on these properties all seem to put the bathroom in the middle of the buildings, the bit that actually generates the most moisture in the house, put it in the middle. So what we have is, we have these dehumidifiers. We've got some mini ones, and we got a fairly big one that we put on this, just outside the bathroom door. So, because during the day, it can be quite high sometimes, up 60-70% humidity. So we put that on, and you'll find, like in the bathroom, it can fill the bucket in a few hours. People have been having showers and stuff. It just takes all that water out. Now the other thing is, don't excessively use it. That's not healthy either. And you don't want to over dry a property. It's not too bad with this because there's no timbers, but it can, if you overdo it with timbers, it's not good. But it means that we're drawing the moisture out, because you'll see a lot of people have these little dehumidifier boxes, which they normally have like little gel things and stuff in them, and they just leave them in corners and cupboards, and that's because of the moisture. And putting one of these dehumidifiers in, firstly we're finding you take the excess moisture out, it means the house seems to have a more ambient temperature as well. You know, it's not too cold, too hot. It's, you know, it seems to work a little bit like a bit of an air conditioning control by taking the moisture out of the air. But it also, the other side of this being is, on your air conditioning units, have a look at the book on it, because they do have humidifier settings, which obviously puts water in the air. But well, have a look at the humidifier or dehumidifier. Have a look at the settings on it, because you find that the energy consumption on those modes is also much cheaper than running it in full cooling for air conditioning. So you may find that a bit of a practical bit to have a look at what air conditioning you've got, if you've got aircon on. To be fair, we haven't got any aircon on. I mean, I did fit a new fan downstairs in the bedroom. Leroy Merlin one, little round one. That was what went for the other one last time I was back. There's this nice circular fan. I took the lights out because, to be fair, it was a bit bright. And we're used to having fans from the Philippines, so we put a fan in there. And that keeps the, well, to be fair, that's probably using the equivalent of a light bulb instead of floodlights when it comes to the difference in cost between air conditioning and a fan. The energy consumption just drops away. But maybe I'll do a couple of mini videos on that, you know, these little short videos just to show you the little bits and pieces we're doing. But beyond that, not a lot going on. Like I said, once this is done, I'll be happy, because at the moment I can't progress anything because my money's tied up in this, because this is my spare cash. Anything that's, because this isn't moving, I can't move on to the next project. And anything I get, like say for example, one of the things this may be useful to you guys or not, is I set a monthly budget and I have certain amounts I put in the bank and keep as an emergency float. Anything above that, I pay off from the mortgage. So, you know, like last month I paid, I think, an extra €1,500 on my mortgage. And when we bought this place, I think the mortgage was something like 450, €500 or something a month. It's currently down at about 340, 380, something like that. Because I keep making these extra payments with any extra cash I've got. See, you mentioned noise, now I've got a tinny motorbike going past. First bit of noise in the last hour. But the point being is, when you're talking about the mortgage rises at the moment, it is worth looking, if you want to eat away at it, because I know some people like to invest the cash, because when their mortgages were up 2% or whatever, you might be able to get an 8% return on your savings. But for me, getting rid of the mortgage just takes that whole pressure piece off. I don't know, some people might go, yeah, but if you use the interest on the 8% savings and put that on the mortgage, you know, when you got your returns on investment, etc. So yeah, it all depends on the individual. Myself, get rid of the mortgage, it frees me up, because at the moment, like this, the conservatory piece, it's holding me back at the minute because I need it finished. I've got the budget there, and the extra money I'm just ploughing into getting the mortgage gone. So even it's coming down at a good rate. But at the same time, if this was finished, I may be actually looking at a deposit on another property, which would be one I could. One of the things I could quickly rent back out and get that return on investment on the mortgage quite quick, for somebody else to be paying the mortgage off. I think going forward on the new properties, I'll probably end up doing a lot of the renovations stuff myself. I mean, Igor's guys did a good job here, but to be fair, when you start doing it as a business, because obviously this is our house, that's one of the things I do stress, is with your own house, you spend a lot more on it. When you're doing it for rental, it's about return on investment. So for example, I've put decent air conditioning in, new windows, deal with things that like having a bit of dehumidification or extra ventilation in a property if I can, just to improve the make sure that it's not going to get damp regular. Same as getting rid of all the dapple effects on the walls, get them all smoothed off, reskim them all, so they're quick to paint. So you get a change in 10 minutes. So you can get in there with a spray and just spray paint the place in no time, and just so it's got a quick churn. But good maintenance, you know, new electrics, all that sort of stuff, but keep it simple. Put decent air conditioning in. I suppose that's the key thing, because people don't have heating in the winter, but you put decent air conditioning in, they run a bit more efficiently, which means people will keep them on a bit more, and at the same time that also keeps the moisture out, which helps the building. Yeah, so I'll leave you to it. I know I've been nattering on for ages, but I'm just sitting enjoying my cup of tea. I'm going to have another one now, I've already drank this one. And have a great day. And as you can see, sun's out, if you can. Sneezing. But yeah, it's nice to be home. Thanks for watching, guys.